Alright, so today I'm going to be making a tutorial on morphs and how they're used and how they work in Roblox. So let's start. So we'll open Roblox Studio. Alright, so let's add a part. Now when we touch this part, it's going to activate the morph. So in case you don't already, go to View, Properties, Explore, Output, you want all those. And then we're going to go ahead and use Toolbox too. So whatever clothing you want, I'm going to type in NPC, so you can get your own custom clothing, or you can use one of the toolboxes. But as you can see, so in an NPC, there's pants and shirt, and those are the two clothing types we're going to be doing today. So these assets are just from the Roblox website for pants and shirt. Now for this part, the touch part, we're going to add in a script. So it's just going to be a normal script. We'll rename it to morph or change. Alright, so script.parent.touched. So when the user touches the block, connect to this function. Hit is going to be what part touched the block. So to check if it's a human or a player that's touching the block, we'll go ahead and do if hit.parent find first child humanoid. So if it touches the left leg, if left leg dot parent, which would be the player, or find first child humanoid. So if there's a human, or if there's a humanoid in that player, which there is, if a player touches it, then we're gonna go ahead and say. So first we should call the player. So we'll say local player is equal to game.players find first child hit.parent.name. So if later we were to put money in and it costs money to use the morph, then we this will get a reference to the player in the players area, which is here, and that's where the money would be stored. So now we'll get so we want our NPC here. So we want to remove any shirt or pants that the player is wearing currently, and then we want to clone the NPC's pants or shirts into the new player, or the player that touched the block. So how we're going to do that is I'm going to make a folder, make this a little organized, and change clothing. And we're going to go ahead and put NPC and touch into change clothing. So now they're in the same place. So we're going to go to touch, change. Now, so we have to check if the player is wearing any clothing. So how we're going to do that is we're going to use hit.parent. Like I said earlier, gets us to the player. So we're going to say find first child, and we're going to go ahead and say pants. So the reason why we use find first child pants instead of just saying hit.parent.pants is because pants might not be in the player. And if pants isn't in the player, and we were to write hit.parent.pants, then what the script would do is it would give an error and it would stop running. So that's why we use find first child, because we're just looking. It doesn't need to be there, we're just looking for it. So we're going to say local player pants. Oops, sorry about that. Is equal to hit.parent.find first child pants. So if there's pants on the player, then player pants is not going to be nil. If there's not, then player pants is going to be nil. So if player pants, if player pants is not nil, is what that statement is saying, then we're going to say player pants remove. So what this is doing is it's checking. So does the player have pants? If it does have pants, then we're going to remove those pants. Now, so for shirts, we're going to say local player shirt is equal to hit.parent find first child and then shirt, right? So we're going to say if player shirt, then player shirt remove. Now what this little block here is doing is the exact same thing as the player pants, except for the fact that it's looking for a shirt. Now pants and shirt themselves are always going to be named the same. So shirt is always going to be shirt, and pants is always going to be pants. What this means is that whatever pants the player is wearing is always going to be named pants. So you never have to worry about it being named something else, because when a player joins into your game, they're named pants. So far, what do we have? We have when the block is touched, it's connecting to the player. It gets the player's information, which later we can use for cost with the morph. And then it looks for pants, and if there's pants, removes it. Looks for shirt. If shirt, remove it. So now, the part where we want to use the NPC's clothing. So how we're going to do that is we're going to say local new clothing is equal to script.parent. Now remember the script is in touch, so script.parent would be touch. Then we're going to say .parent again, and then we're going to say .npc. Now this is a little helpful tip. If I name this npc, spaces all between it, you'd say, well, it must be npc. Now this, as you can see, is giving me a red error because this isn't a thing. It all has to be together. So how I would do that is I would take out the dot in after the parent, and I would use brackets, quotation marks, and I'd type whatever it was, npc. All right. So when you're doing this, it's sometimes a sign of poor naming on your variables, because this really shouldn't be used that often. So I'm going to change it back to what it should be. But just in case you have that, have something like that, that's how you name that. So anyways, back to what we were doing. So new clothing, and then I'll say pants. We'll get the pants from here. So npc dot. So inside the npc, we're going to say clone pants. So now we want to clone it. And if I could spell clone right, all right. So we want to clone it. So what that's doing is when I touch the morph, it's going to take these pants and it's going to clone it. It's not going to clone it anywhere yet. So we'll put it in the player in a second, though. So let's do the same thing. In fact, I'll copy and paste this and just change a few things. So shirt and shirt. Alright, so now that we've cloned the pants and the shirt, and the player that touched the block has no pants or shirt on them, we're going to want to clone the pants and shirt, or put the pants and shirt in the player. So we're going to say new clothing pants dot parent is equal to, now what's the player? It's not this player, this is the leader stats player. It is the hit dot parent, and that's where it would be cloned to. And then the same thing with shirts, would be cloned to the same place. Dot parent is equal to hit dot parent. Alright, so this all looks good. It may have an error, so we'll find out when we test it. So let's go over it real fast. So hit looks for a human. If that's true, this gets the player, which isn't really being used right now, so we don't even need it. These are comments, just to make sure that you know that. So we see if the player has pants. If they do, remove. Same thing with shirt. If they have them, remove them. We clone the pants and shirt from the NPC that we want the pants and shirt to use from, or the pants and shirt to come from. And then we make the parent of the new pants and shirt into our player. So alright, these errors are coming from this NPC, so that shouldn't be a problem. Alright, look at that. So, as you can see, this pants are identical to these pants. This shirt is identical to this shirt. And you may be wondering, well, why isn't all of it that way? Well, this Roblox arm I have right here is actually a different type of arm. Same with the muscle over here. And then the leg is different also. But besides that, the clothing and the pants are in the player. So these pants and these shirts, or the pants and the shirt, are both in the new player. So, alright, now, so you may ask, well, what if I want my player to have $100 before, or 100 cash before they're able to buy it? Well, we can do that. So, right here, the local player, the leader stats, that's going to come into use. So, right here, we're going to put in an if loop. So if, we're going to need to call the player before this if loop to make sure it has a reference to the player. So if player dot leader stats dot, let's just call our money cash, is equal to or greater than 100. I put these in the wrong order, I believe. There we go. Is equal to or greater than 100. Then end. Now what this does here is it checks, so it checks for leader stats, and then so it looks in the player, which is game.players, so it's going to be up in this thing, and the player response is going to be up in there. It's going to say, okay, so let's go into the player, and then let's go into its leader stats, and let's go into cash. And if and only if the cash value is greater than 100, in fact, I should probably put value right here, then I'm going to run that script. Else, do nothing. And I can say for testing, I can say not enough. I can spell it right too. Not enough. Alright, so it's going to say player.leaderstats.cash.value. And you may be thinking, well, do we have a player.leaderstats.cash.value yet? Well, no, we don't, because we haven't put it in yet. So what happens when we run this? We get a bunch of errors that aren't related, but we haven't touched it yet, so it hasn't run. So when we run it, we should get an error. Alright, look at that. Leader stats is not a valid member of player. And that's true, because our player is right here, and the PLR that we call in the script, so that's our player. So we go in here, well, there's no leader stats, so there's nothing to call it from. So we're going to stop. Now, this is a little bit extra for this tutorial on morphs, but put it in. So a quick leaderboard here. Let's call it leader, close to right. Okay, leader, B-O-A-R-D, leaderboard. So, we're going to say game.players.player added connect function player. Alright, so you might not know what this is, or you might, so I'm going to explain it real fast. So game.players.player added, so whenever a new player joins into the game, it's going to connect to this function that is going to be where I typed code. And then the player is the player that joined the game. So we are going to say local leader stats is equal to instance.new int value. Now in Roblox, if you name a if you have a variable, if you have a new value, an int value, and its name is leader stats, and it's inside of the player, then up here, where you usually see the leader stats, it will show. So we're going to make that happen right here. So right now, it doesn't matter what this name is. Remember, this is just a variable. That doesn't show anywhere. But we're going to say leader stats. We're going to use that variable. Dot name is equal to, quotation marks, all lowercase. So it has to be just like this. Leader stats. And then we're going to say leaders. It doesn't need a value, but it needs a parent. So we're going to say leader stats dot parent is equal to player, which is going to, so as soon as our player joins in, we're going to make a new value, an instance.new value, and it's going to be an int value, and then we're going to name it, and we're going to put it in our player. Now, instead of doing this line, we could also just do this. but it would put it in the player and then give it a name in order. So I'm just going to do it the other way. But that method that I just showed you would work. So I'm going to put it in the player, and then we're going to say local cache is equal to instance.new. We're going to make this also an int value, and we're going to put it inside leader stats. Leader stats. Then we're going to say cache.name cache. So this is very vital. The name is exactly what we use right here. So those are very important. And then we're going to go ahead and give ourselves some cache. So cache.value is equal to 120. All right. So when a player joins in, game.players.playerAdded, it detects it when a player joins in. It will connect to this function. The new player joined in. It will give them a int value called leader stats, and it will put it in that player. And then it will also, along with that, put a new integer value, and it will name that cache, and it will give us $120. So now let's test it. All right, so good. We got our cache showing up here. Remember, hit tab just to hide it or not. So we walk over this. We should get the clothing because we have greater than or equal to $120. Perfect. Now our cache didn't go down. So in a game, you'd want the cache to go down, of course. So we'll fix that real fast by saying if it is greater than or equal to 100, then we'll say player.leader_stats.cache.value is equal to what the cache value was before we bought it minus 100. So that will just subtract 100 from the cache value. Now if you want, you could make this a little more easy for yourself and say local cost is equal to 100, and then replace cost wherever 100 is. So now I could just change that. So let's make it 110. Now the cost is going to be 110. It's going to check if we have more than or equal to 110, and then do that. So let's test it. Now these errors are from just this player that I dragged in from the models on Toolbox. That will normally happen when you try to drag something in like that. So let's walk over it. So changed minus to 110, and as you see, it says not enough because I walked over it and I touched it more than once with both of my feet. So it works. So I think that will be the end of our tutorial. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, just please ask. My name is Adoman on Roblox, so go ahead and feel free to PM me if you need to ask any questions. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.